Awesome. Thank you so much, Laurie. And I'll take the baton and take it forward. I'm excited to meet all the amazing four gentlemen out here and discuss how do we want to take the social media landscape and how do we choose the right platform. So what's it, guys? We actually start with one tip coming in from each one of you for depending on the segments. So we have out here SMEs, solopreneurs, freelancers, business owners, professionals. At the same time, we have professionals working in very large organization as well. And choosing between the social media platforms can sometimes be super overwhelming. So since we have people from 4 different segments all together, what say, guys? Let's get started with picking one tip that you have for our audiences when they got to choose a social media platform. What should they keep in mind while making that choice? And how about Ben? We get started from you, since you are the YouTube guy and coming up with all the videos and amazing stuff, which keeps us super busy, you know, in all the right and the wrong ways. But yes, Ben, please, let's hear it from you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for the love and support. So the way I think about it is there are 2 goals, right? When you think about building a presence on a platform, do you want to build a community or do you want to reach out to the community on that platform? And how you strategize around that is very, very key, because if you're thinking of building a community, you want to build on a platform that has the people actively, or rather not actively, but indirectly just scrolling through and discovering, right? So that's where you see today, if you go to say Facebook, for example, Instagram, people are going through that discovery feed quite a bit. But if you're looking at a platform that is more on how you can reach to the massive audience that's out there, where it's intent strong. When I say intent strong, think about the time you go to Facebook, right? This is my personal view. You would go to Facebook and you're just scrolling to, keep up to date with the latest that's happening, right? With your friends, your family, or maybe just to check on that ex of yours. And then on the other side, when you go onto YouTube, the way you use YouTube is more of, one, I'm searching for something actively. And you're expressing that intent. You're looking for that video, how to cut your hair, for example. I did a cut of my hair and my gosh, my hair came out really horrible, which is why I got a fresh new haircut. I hope you like it. But it's really down to, the kind of people you want to reach and also what kind of audience you want to build. I'm not saying that you cannot build an audience on YouTube. You can, but if you do, it is very important that you make your content extremely helpful to the people who are looking for you on YouTube. So the way the consumption habit is very, very different, right? Instagram, Facebook, the way of me viewing it is a platform where you go there and you're discovering new things, fresh things that your friends are updating, or maybe some advertisers are putting out there to reach out to you. Whereas on YouTube, it's more of an intent-based kind of thing where you're actively looking for something.
So what I take away from here, Ben, is definitely what's our objective and our audience understanding, and then we pick of how do we want to get deeper into it. Do we want to build a community, or we want to just interact with the community? That's a great takeaway. I'm guessing it's not only for YouTube, it's also for broader platforms, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. Having a goal, I think it's always the most important piece, because oftentimes advertisers or brands think about, I want to do everything. You go to your boss says, I just want to make money, I don't care, right? But at the end of the day, you think about what's the path in making that money? Therefore, I go back to the marketing basics of the marketing funnel, right? You got to drive the awareness, then consideration, and then the action. A lot of brands think about, I want you to drive performance, which is just purely action.
Correct.
But you forget about the primary objective here, which is to get that intent going. You got to get people to think about your product first, because no one's going to actively look for your product if they don't know of your product.
Correct. Absolutely. I mean, that's really a thing. So Ben, that was great insight. Let's hear it from Alby. Alby, what you have to say when it is about getting started and making that choice? What's a tip that you have for people to remember?
Yeah. I would like to offer the perspective about the branding and company culture, because I think complementary with Ben's answer, I think branding is about to attract the audience, right? So we could shape up the social media as tools for distributing awareness. So it will convert the audience to enter our highway on brand experience. On the other hand, I would like to see and checking in our company culture, because it will attract the right talents to sustain the brand itself, and pass on the activities that would like to shaping up the experience itself. But I think the branding and company culture will be a good point for consideration before we start the content plan. Thank you.
That's a great point, and people actually connect to a great extent of what the company belief is. I mean, just reflecting back on Google, if we know it's very inclusive, it's right up there. So I love that point and was not expecting something like this to come up. So it's completely unique. Let's hear it from Calvin. Calvin, what do you have to add to this?
I would definitely reflect on what Ben was saying and get deeper into understanding your customer segmentation. I was just looking at some new data around social media in the ASEAN region. It turns out that globally, I believe the average internet use is something like 11 to 12 hours a day already we're spending. I mean, obviously, this is more than just Facebook, right? It includes everything from online use, watching videos like Netflix, YouTube to TikTok, all right, Instagram, etc. Philippines are dominating at sort of 11 hours plus. But one of the stats that we see is that despite an average ASEAN user logging in and being part of 7.5 platforms, that there are a lot of overlaps. So pick one or two, depending on your segmentation, target segmentation of your customers, to really zoom into that one or two, because each one of these platforms brings in different features, obviously capabilities, although they're starting to feel the same sometimes, where one platform launches this and then the other, let's say the bigger ones, tends to replicate that certain feature. But they do definitely differentiate in terms of maturity or ease of use. For example, off-linking, to the ability to off-link to other platforms, like on Instagram, it's not that easy until you hit, say, 10,000 followers. Whilst they thrive on videos, others may not be as straightforward. I also think that the platform choice is highly depending on not just the hard demographics, whether or not it's male, female, professional versus sort of younger audiences. Think about their emotional and mental state when they are consuming your content. Is it a lean back, right? TikTok and Instagram is more of a lean back. I'll just consume, I'm having fun, I'm being entertained, whereas a LinkedIn is more of a lean in. I'm trying to find out more, I'm trying to research for my company, etc. The third point I would say is that we, especially in the world of social media in the last couple of years, I think many businesses tend to underestimate the talent that is required in managing these channels. It is not uncommon to see smaller firms, of course, and even larger firms underinvest in social media, because these days, just like all marketing professionals, social media executives are pressured to be creative, to be analytical, and to be human, and to be social. It's kind of like this renaissance person that we're trying to find, yet it's a part-time job for probably one of your marketing persons, right? I would say 70-80% of those listening out there perhaps don't have a dedicated social person, kind of part of the job. I think it's increasingly important to find the right talent to be able to, and slowly to start to build the team, because the connecting points with your other technology platforms, whether or not it's the bigger ones like Salesforce or Google or Adobe Analytics, or to your brand monitoring platforms such as platforms such as Brandwatch or Crimson Hackers, etc. More and more important, it's not just about posting stuff and managing your TikTok channel anymore. The game has evolved.
I so love that, Kevin. So love that, because right now many business owners are like, okay, there's just give it to any team member. Like, okay, It's Facebook posting, even I know it, you can just go and do it. And it doesn't come from the point of view of creativity, humanization, or even understanding the numbers. Because reading it is one part and extracting the insights from it is a absolutely different aspect to it. I love it, Kevin, so much. Let's hear it from Ionut, which I'm excited to know what is his take on picking up the platform.
Picking up the platform and localize it, that would be probably my go-to discussion that I'm having all the time with the team, is learn to localize it, especially if, for example, you have a business in the e-commerce. My great panelists were saying all the time, every platform is different. But probably from the perspective where I'm staying, learn to do a lot of A/B testing on the platform and localizing it from a perspective of, hey, who is your audience? Where are they sitting? If you're a small business, I'm hearing all the time that I don't have the budget or I don't have the power, for example, to go on a multi-channel solution. And that's probably a mistake. I can say from a perspective of everybody wants to go at the moment on the train of TikTok, but the power of localizing is key because, for example, on TikTok, you don't have these videos that are, let's say, with a higher budget. It's more a little bit more lifestyle, and content is the key. And my number one key, besides localizing, and probably they're going hand to hand, is learn that the content is key. Give the consumer and give to your customer and give to your audience the content that they want to read and to view or to see and to share, especially, right? Because something that we see all the time in marketing, that content is key and king from this perspective, that it's not only about the numbers, it's also about engagement, right? Everybody wants a page of 100,000, but if you have a page of 100,000 and you have only 5 likes on a post, that means that something is definitely wrong with the way that you're doing. And learn to experiment and learn to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the games. That's probably my go-to tip.
Awesome. My God, guys, these are like 4 amazing tips, and not 4. Each one of them actually deep dived into it and at least shared 1 or 2 tips even further. So a question to all our attendees out here, which one was your favorite? I know it's hard to choose, but at the same time, it's time to also let you know, I'm going to bring some of your questions. So do make sure that you share it in the chat section so that I can keep an eye on that. And trust me, some of the good questions are surely going to come because I am prioritizing your question than mine. But yes, Ionut, you mentioned a very interesting point, which I love the most. When someone comes and tells me, Kush, marketing is done in this manner, I start doubting it a little bit because there is no standard rule to it. Of course, there are frameworks, there are structures, there are funnels, but testing it and really testing it with your audiences plays the most important thing. It's trial and error. And when we talk about error, we talk about mistakes. It'll be interesting to know, since you have so many years of experience in the industry, Ionut, have there been a situation where a campaign got goofed up or did not respond the way it was expected to? Or what exactly has been your topmost learning from that particular goof up that happened with the marketing campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Kush. I would say that I wouldn't be human and I wouldn't learn if I wouldn't make mistakes. And I'm going to say it probably a couple of times. Failing is part of the game because this is the way that you learn. And this is the way that you're actually getting better, right? I did mistakes in the campaigns when us as a marketer person or a business owner, we have all the time this perception that we know what our audience wants to choose and to, let's say, take with the learnings and bits and bats, right? I did mistakes from a perspective of not posting on the right time. I made mistakes of kind of unifying all of the platforms across all of the channels And that was something that definitely didn't went well. I learned mistakes of not posting at the right time. I mean, like learn your analytics. You actually mentioned that, yes, we have that bit of analytics, but what do we do with them? If you're posting, for example, on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever is going to be that channel at the time that your audience are not present, then you have a problem. I made mistakes, for example, on the TikTok, once again, the train that everybody wants to go viral. And TikTok has an amazing algorithm, but something that we actually were understanding is that we are not posting how TikTok is actually posting as a platform and the user. And we were posting these videos that are very professional, and we're thinking that, hey, let's import it from one platform to another because maybe we don't have the capabilities. And something that we've seen at the moment that we actually took our phone from the pocket and did something really organic, really spontaneous, really with no effects and so on. It was something that was moving. We learned that, hey, if we choose the right song, is actually, or the background noise, it's actually going to be better than actually using our voice. We learned that sometimes a visual, what we are doing sometimes, we are giving to a small group of audience our visual for the campaign, and we give it and we say, hey, which one do you like? It is A or B? And that's something that we learn to talk with our audience. We learn to understand that, hey, we don't have numbers, but we have a community. Behind every single number, there is actually a potential customer or a actual customer or a potential customer that wants to speak with us. They want to say what they think. All of the social media platforms are actually the best way to actually talk with your audience. It's a direct line. It's up to you how you learn to talk with them.
So damn true, so damn true. And when we are talking about mistakes, we would love to hear. Alby, would you like to add anything to that from your experience?
Yeah. I think the most learning moments for me when everyone tried to ride in the trend, right? Just to be present to the what's happening today from the social media perspective. But I want to remind everyone to have a context and purposeful content to distribute. So when the trend is gone, we stay true for ourselves, and then we can just continue because all the works of the social media is, I think, really need discipline and long hard stupid way to learn it and the mastering all the social media platforms. So when we just create the contents based on trends, I think it will be really exhausting. So I think my go-to tips is we can arrange the proportional percentage for the trend-based content, but on the other side, stay true with the context that we want to spread the message from our brand is. Thank you.
So I think what I take away from here is sometimes we get too excited and we're like, okay, this is happening, let's go all in, and we go all in, but then as soon as it dies out, we also die out, our excitement dies out, and there is no consistency. And that's where the whole return goes for a toss. It requires discipline. I love that word. It requires absolutely in with the right merger of trends and as well as the right merger of the talent of the team. Now, thanks, I'll be here. Now with this, I would love Ben and Kelvin to highlight a little bit, starting with Ben, followed by Kelvin, is, let's say, over here we have SMEs, we have small business owners as well. And they would like to get into social media, and they have always had the belief that money is what can bring success. But today we have such amazing people out here, and I would love for you to share, what if they don't have enough budget? What if that's not something that they want to get started with? It's pandemic times. VUCA is all around the world. They want to be careful with their marketing spend, even if they have it, let's just say. So Ben, starting from you, can you highlight how can someone start without budget, zero budget, or very little budget? And then Kelvin, I would love to hear. And how about we make it like this? Ben, give us a B2C perspective since you come from YouTube. And Kelvin, give us a B2B perspective since that's your majority of the audience. So let's hear it, Ben, from you first.
That's a great question. So if you got zero budget, my suggestion to you is to build your presence across as many social media platforms as possible while following the best practices. Don't put your eggs into one basket, right? Best practices super important. Some simple things, like for example, on YouTube, if you were to upload a video, if that content is an ad or a video that is supposed to reach the audiences, make sure you don't select the flag that says made for kids only. Because when you turn on that flag, what happens is that this video will not be collecting audiences for you. Now, one of the beauties about YouTube is when someone watches your video, it automatically starts collecting the audiences, right? Which you can then remarket to these audiences in the future in your ads when you start getting a little bit of money, right? So it's important that you get the basics right, making sure your meta tags are there. I mean, there are tons of resources out there, best practices on Facebook, best practices on Instagram, on YouTube. And then of course, looking at trends, we touched a little bit on trends earlier on. Trends.google.com is a great place to start. Just to see what are the current trends that's happening in the past 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. And then from there, you can analyze and say, oh, this kind of content is doing great and people are actively looking for this. So start creating content that is relevant to your industry, but syncing with those keywords that people are looking for. So using trends.google.com, it's a completely free tool which you can use. To me, I see it as like a way to see the upcoming trends that's coming. And then as you get a little bit of money in your bank account, and you go, okay, I got some marketing budget now, what do I do with it? I think it's very important to start with your niche audiences first. I think across the multiple platforms that we have today, on YouTube, for example, or Google, for example, we've got in-market audiences. In-market audiences are audiences that are actively looking for something. So for example, if you are like selling a car, for instance, right? We actually have in-market audiences of people actively looking for cars at a specific time, period in time. And that's something which you can then leverage on, right? To reach out to those audiences. These are people who are actively looking to buy something, whether it's groceries or, food stuff, or into buying like the next washing machine, or they're looking for active services. So in-market audiences, that's my recommended go-to. Now, that's if your budget is small. But once you start, having a slightly more elaborate marketing budget, don't forget the full funnel experience, because there are audiences catered for different kinds of parts of the funnel. So the awareness audience, for example, will be your affinities, your consideration audience, and then of course you've got your in-market audiences for action.
Awesome, Ben. For our audiences, just to recap, go to Google Trends to check out the trends in the country with a particular keyword, with a particular industry, and you would get amazing insight. I use it all the time, and I tell my team also to use it. So Ben, lovely. Finally, in-market audience, for our audience who have not experienced YouTube, from the back-end perspective, then it's a kind of audience which YouTube has to go all in and market to them, which are absolutely in action. So just giving a recap of that. And now, Kelvin, let's hear it from you. From the B2B side of it.
Yeah, my favorite segment of them all. I would say that I've noticed many startups and even larger businesses underplaying the need for a social media strategy. It's sort of gone out of trend, actually, because even if you think about VC investment these days compared to the early 2010s, right? So investment into social media platforms or companies are no longer the thing, right? It's about e-commerce now and blockchain, etc. So everybody seems to have an AI or big data or blockchain strategy. Social media strategy is sort of outsourced to their intern or sort of a part-time job. So I'm really surprised when I speak to some of my peers in larger B2B firms, there is the perception that, oh, we have large budgets. Actually, we don't. And all these investments into the right platform, community, etc., is formed from a top-down strategy that I would advise first aligns with your business and marketing strategy. Alongside that, this strategy person or team needs to also be some sort of a extroverted person who must be comfortable partnering with your brand, comms, content team. It's pretty obvious, but it not all the time. The other tactic which I'm obviously through my narrative today passionate about is really about the people. Social needs to be about the people, less about the product, less about visuals. To me, less about, not so much about say posting at the right time, because sort of everyone's online all the time anyway, and there's enough audiences to go everywhere. So as a startup owner, as part of a SMB, how can you empower your employees and your leadership team to be more meaningful and active, sharing content, sharing tips, sharing advice that speaks to your audience, your community, your buyers? There are stats to say that the combined network of all your employees in your company, no matter whether or not it's 5% or 5,000, is often 10 to 15 times larger than your company's official company's page platform anyway. We've all been there. We've set out a new Instagram page. We start with a big fat 0. And it takes forever. You know, our challenge is we don't have budgets to throw at the platforms to grow these followers. So how do we enable the employee advocacy? And over time, one of my mistakes is that I've underestimated the interest that employees and our colleagues are willing to share. It's just that the perception is that they're not that willing, and they don't have the guidelines. They don't have sort of ready content that they can start with. There isn't that process, and there isn't that training. So think about how we can enable that in view of no budget to at least get going with some of these sort of bottom-up organic effort. It can be really powerful.
I can back you up on that, Kevin. Just the other day, I was going through some numbers, and companies who are getting their employees to become their advocates and go all out and represent themselves on social media platforms are getting individually 561% more reach to their audiences and are building that relatability because of the humanization factor. And very clearly, when an insider talks about a company, it's more trusted than an outsider, you know, and that comes from a perspective of strong relatability. Now, all four of you, what are your favorite tools when it comes to social media, when it comes to marketing? Is there a tool that you would like to recommend our audience? It could be directly related, it could be indirectly related, but it's your go-to, and it's something you rely on to a great extent, starting from Ionut.
Yeah, there's so many, but if I would probably pick one, many times when, let's say, owners or marketing persons, they think that they want to start a multi-channel solution, they are thinking, oh my God, I don't have time, for example, to post on all of these channels. So, for example, use Buffer as a tool. To actually, it can sound very simple to many of us, but having a tool like that, it's cross-sharing the message across multiple channels, and actually scheduling a post can be the winning success, because we don't have time, you know, like to go one by one and so on. Especially, for example, when we go on a multi-channel, but also, for example, when we go on a multi-market company, like cross-border, let's say. Buffer is absolutely great because you can see also the audience, you can upload rich media, you can select the time that you want. You have so many options. It gives you also, for example, what kind of hashtags to use, and that would be probably one of them.
Superb. I simply love that. Alby, what do you have to say? Which tool?
Yeah, I think my first choice will be go to Instagram, as the entrance experience for the brands itself. On my 7 years experience to the client as a brand consultant, we try to opening the gate firstly from the Instagram, and then we will woven it beautifully. Whether it the serious audience, we will distribute to the LinkedIn, because it's it has by nature have a different audience.
Yes, absolutely.
So when the gate opens from the Instagram and then the serious audience go to LinkedIn, there will be a B2B or B2C presence in there. And then for the more casual and then more entertaining side of the brand, I will suggest the YouTube, I think.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
because they will have many form of expressions, also the form of videos or motion graphic or the explanation video. It's really range of choice. So I think the combination of three is my recipe for the audience. Thank you.
Okay, so Alby has given us the recipe. Let's hear a tool from Kelvin, and then we are going to jump into audience questions because we have some amazing of them. So Kelvin and Ben, what are your tools? Kelvin, let's get started with you.
Yeah, my team and I, we use a tool called Canva.com.
Oh,
I see
love
as
it.
creative as a service. It's pretty much free to start with, but once you add on things like you need to put your logo and colors and fonts, you pay per user per month or per year. And then just to follow up, there's a bonus tip, trick, recommendation. I'm incredibly passionate about employee advocacy and the power of enabling our employees to share content. So I'll put into the chat a selection of these tools. I won't say which one my company is using. I don't want to lean on certain ones, but there are a number out there that you can pick. Some of them they pretty much all do the same things as which sort of publishing or brand monitoring platform these days, but they do sometimes vary in terms of cost and customer service. So have a go, have a look.
Yep, I can see Hootsuite, Sociable, Everyone Social, Smart, and some more amazing tool. Go guys, check it out. The link shared by Kelvin. Ben, you already shared about Google Trends. So I want something new from you now.
Yeah, so plus one to Canva. I love, absolutely love Canva. It's like this, you go there and press a button and boom, everything just comes up beautifully, right?
A few buttons.
A few buttons, that's right.
Guys, I think the love for Canva is showing us how come they raised the kind of money they raised and having a valuation of $40 billion. This shows like...
It's crazy.
Ahead, yeah, it is. Please go ahead, Ben.
I mean, okay, so Canva is one, when I used to do a lot of posting across multiple social medias, I tend to go to Hootsuite. Mainly because it's just a really simplified interface to use, and it was actually free at one point. I think at one point you also need to upgrade if you want to manage multiple accounts. So they do have like a premium kind of subscription model. But then I'm just going to give a quick plug and sneakily put in YouTube, our YouTube, YouTube tool. The reason why I say that is because we've got quite a number of very interesting ways of promoting a video. Like for example, there's this function called Premiere. If you've never tried YouTube Premiere before, do try that out. Basically, when you upload that video, you set a premiere. It effectively turns into a bit of like a live countdown kind of a video. So when you say premiering at 12 p.m., right? So your followers, people who subscribe to you, will see 12 p.m. tomorrow, there's this thing that's coming, and there's a countdown. You can set a reminder to it, and then everybody can like co-watch that same video with you. So it creates that whole atmosphere of, oh, I'm going to get all my friends together and watch the launch of my video on YouTube. So it's great for brands launching new videos, launching new tips and tricks, or maybe an offer, for example, that you don't want the world to see yet, but until 12 p.m. that day. So yeah, that would be like a little sneaky plug for YouTube.
Awesome. So over here, of course, Jeremy is telling us he has a +1 for Canva as well. And Mangchi is already a premier user and loves it. So that was for you, Ben. Let's jump into the questions that we have for today. So we have Donchi Q, and the question that comes in is, one of the features of online presence is ability to categorize, catalog, and archiving. However, social media like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram do not perform well in this point, causing post has been buried over time, especially when users online at different times and kept reposting will cause impression of spamming. Any solutions for
it? Anyone who wants me to repeat the question, I would happy to do that. I would not present the question to any of our panelists directly. Who wants to take it up can just unmute and go ahead with the answer. So Ionut, you unmuted yourself. I'm guessing you want to go ahead with it.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard for me to understand what exactly it means catalogs and how it was with the part of ability to categorize catalog and archiving. But I can talk a little bit more on the impression spamming. I don't think that it's necessarily an issue with the impression spamming. I think that's the issue that the fact that your messages at the moment that you post, or let's say your whatever content that you post is actually not triggering enough impressions, and you as an owner or a marketer, you're trying to repost it and so on. I don't think that is necessarily a problem of reposting. I think that there is a problem with kind of like the content that you're actually sharing and when you're actually sharing. Because I was saying before, hey, what are your audience actually eating when they're going, for example, on your social media channels? Go into analytics, see where these people are sitting, what time are they posting, and don't be afraid to actually reshare it. It's totally not a problem. Now, if they're actually not interacting, then ask yourself the question of if that content is actually correct for me. So, for example, the way that you structure the image, the way that you structure the video, do an internal approach first, and after this, publish it, or talk with your audience and see what they want to actually see, and after this, post it broadly. Sometimes a good strategy is to create a group, an internal group on Facebook, for example, make it unpublic, invite a few of your customers and have that conversation with them. That's probably something that can help you. I don't think that spamming, impression spamming, I don't think that personally is a thing.
Exactly. I think I'm with you on that, Ionut, and 100%. It's just not that big an issue to just look at. And to add to what Ionut mentioned, if you really want to try out and what people are saying and what the best timings are, I love Social Breaker as a tool that allows you to read the insights of people. And if you have the budget, then it's great. Otherwise, try the trial. It's awesome. But at the same time, just going to the next question out here, which is again coming in from Da Chinque. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the question a little later, just pushing out questions from someone else first, which is Rachel. She says, good morning. As a micro SMA with very little limited manpower, time, copywriting skills, what are the suitable content recommended for sharing online? How frequent should we upload the information or share online? How could you increase the overall effectiveness of posting the content? How could we access or assess the results of our website and social media platform? Please advise. Rachel, trust me, answering this question is like a 2-hour session already. I can guarantee it. So getting our panelists to answer this question can be pretty tricky, but yes, it's about very similar to what question we already took, is if you have limited budget, how to go all in. So I think what we can do here, let's take one question, which is what are the suitable content recommended for sharing online? So what if I say Facebook, LinkedIn, and we take Instagram, YouTube is no choice. We have videos to go all in, and that's how it is. But still, Kelvin, anything from your side to be able to add in for a particular platform? What kind of LinkedIn? Let's hear it. For LinkedIn, what do you recommend? What kind of content is best?
We've been investing more into data storytelling over the last 1 to 2 years. We realized that a bunch of our competitors and across the industry outside of just financial are sharing already lots of sort of charts and graphs and increasingly Canva images, etc. This goes back to one of the sort of mantras or tips that I'd like to challenge back to you, Rachel. Right, what is the sort of content that you as running this micro SME can do significantly better than your competitors? And it's an answer that you probably know best based on your company's capabilities and your offering. At my company, one of our competitive differentiators, we even not just marketing as a company, we do amazingly well is the ability to collect, aggregate, and distribute data, financial market data. So why not tell the story of the data behind the data? So it ends up being a sort of global campaign where social is just one of the channels that we're using to amplify that content. But we knew that that would be our key differentiator of getting behind that story, behind that video, behind that next webinar, and get deeper into this sort of audience and community and users who wants to learn more behind our proposition or product.
That's beautiful. And you can actually find an edge against your competitor. If you're great at infographic, go with that. If you're great at video. So it's more about what you're amazing at. And of course, keep the algorithm in mind, definitely. Alby, if I have to ask you for Facebook, would you recommend videos, or would you recommend images, or would you recommend text post on Facebook if a brand wants to go online, or a carousel?
Yeah. I think the one of the important element before we start publishing contents is the content pillar itself. I think Rachel as micro SME. Okay, so the content pillar will define what topics or context that you will bring to the audience, and then on the Facebook platform, I think. I think still in video and the carousel. So
okay, awesome.
Yes. So the journey, because the micro SME is still growing, I think the more relatable context is the journey and the growing process. You can tell the stories about it. Yeah.
Superb. That's amazing. So we have a question which is coming in next from Soon Ang, and he's saying that what are the essential metrics to look at daily? So I want to ask you back, Soon, can you tell me which platform are you recommending at? Because every platform has different way of looking at the metrics, and so that we can answer your exact problem. Let's go to Karen till that time, which is would need to seek for advice the organic post on social media able to generate traffic and awareness to brand and website. So it's organic growth, which is growth without paid advertisement. Who want to take up this question? I will leave it for the floor to choose in. Organic growth. Anyone would like to unmute themselves and want to take up that question? Okay. One thing that I can, okay, Ionut and Kelvin, we have to go to, so who want to go first, please?
So I can give you the advice, something that was working really great at the moment that we want to grow our Instagram presence, for example. My number one recommendation, each platform, it's launching a new tools every time, right? So something that is working organically is definitely lives. Because we are living in a pandemic, because we are living in this crazy world, but everybody's staying inside the house, lives are definitely something that is going to push organically your reach. What you can do, for example, and it's valid also for Instagram, for Facebook, for TikTok. So one strategy that we've been applying, for example, for Instagram, we actually did lives where we invited other people to join. So the moment that you are actually sharing, you're creating a live, and I'm inviting you, Khush, for example, all of your audience is going to receive a message saying that Khush is coming to Ionut, and
yes,
they are having this live. That means that your message and your reach and your account is actually pushed to the other audience. And lives and having this joint, let's say, using this feature, it was amazing to grow our Instagram. That's one
awesome.
tip that I can give.
Awesome. Calvin, would you like to add anything to it?
Yes. Yeah. So many angles to tackle this. I assume that you already have content that speaks about your offerings, sort of product and technical features. But don't forget also about the sort of human and employees element of telling the stories or behind the scenes. It's still on the uptrend, and especially with, let's say, a smaller company, you have way more flexibility to be able to do that. Even a sort of 1 minute interview with yourself as a founder or one of the senior members of the team, really get into your views on the industry. Another aspect which I've seen the algorithm recently started to prioritize, is the ability for companies to respond to what is happening in the world. For example, right, one of the biggest stories between Malaysia and Singapore is this real-time mobile fund transfer start late next year.
Yeah.
That might not be relevant for everyone, but that may be relevant for a number of your customers. And then, okay, what is your company's position? And it maybe you are part of the supply chain of this sort of enablement or that payments journey. But don't whilst running the company, of course, there's so many things to do. Don't miss out opportunities in the marketplace, in your country, across the region, and outside, across US, UK, Australia, where you bring in sort of these insights and relate it back to your company. Then that's super real time. It's not just about talking about yourself and your company and how amazing you are. It's relating it to and helping your community to connect it further. Then, to Ionut's point and Ben's point, Alby's point, it starts to then generate those likes and engagements and comments, because it needs to start from the core. It needs to be something great. Otherwise, you're just posting more visuals and canvas and charts and graphs all the time. That's not going to up your game very much.
Awesome. And Karen, just to add to what Calvin and Ionut mentioned here, and I bootstrapped my company years ago and did not have a lot of budget. So getting traffic was definitely a big thing for me. 3 platforms, which I know at this point of time are super generous in terms of organic reach: LinkedIn personal profile, Instagram Reels, and TikTok. If your audiences are relevant, then you want to make a pick accordingly. And to add to our amazing panelists, this is something that I personally use. So I personally used LinkedIn, and it has got me amazing numbers of inbound leads. And inbound is always a better place to be in, right? So, okay, let's get to the next question. But before that, I just want to know, Laureen, how much time do we have, Laureen?
Okay. We're looking at, let me see, roughly another 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Okay. So we can take another question, which is, okay, so we have some questions which is coming in specifically for the YouTube and the video side of it. 2 are there, so I'll just sum up together. I'm guessing this is for Ben, which is, so Zulayana says, hi, morning. When we launch Premiere YouTube video promo, would you be able to generate the viewers list and likes? What are the tips to post video on YouTube post to generate more traffic? That's coming in from Karen. And Ben, you can just merge it together and take in so that we can take that as an answer.
Yeah, great question. No, so you won't be able to tell who's liking your video, who's subscribed to your video. It's all part of the whole data privacy piece, how YouTube wants to keep things as anonymous as possible, so you're not able to identify the people who come and watch your content. However, you can remarket to them, like what I mentioned earlier, right? When your videos are out on YouTube, it generally creates a remarketing list for you, which you can then utilize in your ad campaigns. It doesn't cost a lot of money, because generally if you got, like, say, 1,000 people who watch your video and then they get added into this anonymized bucket, right? So when they come back onto YouTube the next time, you can reach out to them as well. Not only that, you can also reach out across other Google properties. So this one remarketing list is extremely versatile and useful. So that's one way of really pushing it out and reaching out to the audiences again. The other thing is, on an organic side of things, my recommendation is to embed these videos onto all the platforms that you have, right? When you put a Premiere out there, if you have a website, set up a website, embed the video there. You don't have to achieve like how many thousand subscribers before you can embed something. Just embed the video there and make that your landing page, drive traffic there, share it across all your social networks, share it on your WhatsApp, send it to your 101 WhatsApp groups so that everyone will come to it. Because this is how the YouTube algorithm works, right? The more people come to a particular event or watch a particular kind of content, then YouTube kind of has an idea of what some people like this kind of content and may then use it to promote it across the platform. And yes, I agree. Live absolutely is something that platforms tend to prioritize. Reels, also known as Shorts on YouTube, we recently launched it. So that's, again, another one of those things that you should utilize, because the platform today is promoting these two key elements. If you notice, if you subscribe to, say, a particular channel on YouTube, right, the moment the live comes on, you notice that live appears right at the top of your recommendation feeds. So that's a big tip, right? Live is very key. Second, Reels, because, and of course, in this case, Shorts for YouTube. We've been pushing Shorts as well. We recently launched Shorts with BTS. I don't know if you saw that promo. If you do like some funny dance and all that, encourages you to upload your Shorts, and we've been seeing really, really good traction there as well. So organically, you don't have to pay any money for this. You know, upload Shorts when you create your videos. Create like little tease preview sneakers or teasers and say, we've got this video launching. Use Shorts as your way to promote your launch video. That could be another way of doing it.
So Ben, what is the most important metrics for a YouTube channel to achieve? Is it views, it is subscribers, it is likes or comments?
I think it's down to your goal. So personally, I care about reach. I want to see how much audience can my channel, my videos reach. So I may have like 500 subscribers, but if I can reach consistently about 6 million people, I'm a happy boy, because I know my videos are reaching the people out there. Oftentimes people think about, oh, you know, I've got 600 subscribers, I need to grow to 1,000. But do these 1,000 subscribers come back and watch all the time? It's the same thing as having, you know, 100 million likes or 100 million people following you on Instagram, and you've got like 16 likes on a post, right? It's that same kind of concept.
Absolutely. I think this is so common across every single platform. And you get millions of followers, but when you look at the engagement, it's really, really not more than 0.5%, 1%, or even less than that. With this, of course, since we are in the last 5 minutes, I would love for all our 4 panelists to add in their 2 cents for all the amazing attendees who are there, from their piece and from their experience in the marketing, in the social media space. What is that one piece of advice that you would like to give to everyone who's listening right here, right now? And it can be as niche and specific as possible, then being super broad as well. Starting from Alby, please, let's hear it from you.
Yeah, I think vernacular context and content will be important this day. Because we will build up on the Calvin side the employee advocacy. In Indonesia, especially, is Discord is rising, so it becomes a platform which we could engage community, and then I think the more niche the market and the topic, it will give you some organic growth. I will add up to that context. So my 2 cents is the vernacular context and content, also the proportional percentage for the trend-based content and the purposeful content. Yeah.
Okay, trend-based and purposeful content, but make sure content is very important. Follow your niche. Kelvin, let's go for you.
Alby, you took my employee advocacy tip. It's a really difficult one. We spoke about so much today. Perhaps I'll go back to one of the first few points I made. No matter the size of your firm, find that right talent to be able to take your social media strategy to the next stage. This may be even hiring an intern to support your existing marketing person that's doing this 20% of his or her time, that allows that person to connect more with the rest of your business, alignment to the metrics, the marketing goals, the business strategy, because that connection point is so key. It's not just about posting and launching new channels anymore.
Awesome. Ben, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I'll be quick. So my suggestion is to really think full funnel. Yeah, the whole awareness, consideration, and action phase. Don't think about just the action piece. It's important to spread your eggs across the 3 different parts of the funnel as well. And of course, this strategy applies to content as well, right? You could have content that's all about awareness. Content is about consideration of your product. Content that's about creating that action, that one buy piece, right? So it's important as you build content, as you create your media mix strategy, always think about the 3 pieces of the funnel and think about your marketing objectives.
Awesome, Ionut. It's time to hear from you.
Ben was stealing my funnel idea.
Sorry.
That's
No
the loss of the last pick, always that happens.
So I actually had a backup. So for me, I think that I can give 1 or 2 of them. So it's what kind of message and what kind of content you're posting. So to give you an example, something that I'm saying all the time to my colleagues and to my team is that I hate the word features. I don't give a crap about feature, excuse my French. I care about benefits. Customers in general, they don't care about features, they care about benefits. And at the moment that you're actually posting something on the social media, I'm talking from a perspective of e-commerce, but it can be applied to every single industry, in my opinion. When we are talking about e-commerce, don't show a product, just simple a product. Show someone that is actually touching and looking on the product and feeling it, and show the interaction with your product. Because if you're only posting that piece of, for example, car mat for us, right, is not going to work. But at the moment that you're showing someone that is actually stepping on it, psychologically speaking, you're actually creating a connection between the product and that person. So having, looking, touching, feeling, whatever you're going to do, showing the benefits is actually going to skyrocket your reach. And we have been talking about organic reach and conversions and so on. Can be a simple thing, but it's actually is the power behind using lifestyle photography and using people that are testing and tasting your products.
Superb. I love it. In other words, if technically speaking, user-generated content, which is getting people to talk about a product rather than we talking about ourselves. So 4 amazing tips, wrapping up the session. But before I do that, I've already seen Laureen and she's like, okay, Kush, it's time. Guys, tell us where exactly all our amazing attendees can reach you. Which social media platforms is the best suited one for each one of you to connect? Maybe you can put the link in the chat as well, or you can just go all out and unmute and say.
Yeah, I'll start. Please,
okay,
go ahead.
Okay, good. Everyone can reach me on LinkedIn, Ionut Danifeld, or ionut.my@trapo.com.
Okay, superb. How about Ben?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on Instagram.
Okay, Instagram and LinkedIn. That's amazing. Alby, how about you?
Yeah, you can check my personal website to www.albypadmakusumah.com, and we'll chat on LinkedIn also, Alby Padmakusumah. Thank you.
Okay, I am just putting the link of LinkedIn right here. Kelvin, let's hear it from you.
You can find me on I don't think you can see every single platform from WeChat to Clubhouse to Weibo to Line, etc. But for LinkedIn, I've just put in my profile URL into the chat as well. So just feel free to copy and paste it. It'll be much easier to find me as Kelvin Lee, quite a sort of common first and last name. So hopefully you locate me on LinkedIn. Feel free to follow and connect. We'll be happy to sort of exchange tips.
Absolutely. I think for myself as well, I will be super happy. And I think LinkedIn definitely is one platform where all of us can connect. I've shared the LinkedIn links of all our amazing panelists. Over to you, Laureen. Thank you so much for having us. And I guess, guys, it was a beautiful breakfast morning together with all of you. Thank you for all the panelists, Ben, Ionut, Kelvin, and Alby for being here.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, so Kush, I was just gonna wrap things up, but following the trend, you kind of stole my outro, so I don't know what to do now. But yes, you guys, thank you so much. Let's give a big shout out to Kush, Ben, Ionut, Alby, and Kelvin. Thank you so much for a phenomenal first panel discussion. Thank you for answering our questions, all our thoughts. You really got into it. And thank you for the great tips. I loved the tools and strategies you guys left in the chat box for us. So on behalf of everyone here at Exabytes, I'd like to thank you so so much for being a part of Marketing Fest Asia 2021. Please get some rest and enjoy the rest of the day, and feel free to stay on with us for the rest of our session. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.